Ooh, pretty. I just washed and waxed that thing, and then it's been snowing off and on here for the past few days. I wanted to make a quick update video on the Eclipse since it's been a week since I posted anything on it. There is a reason for that. You might be able to see the coolant right there in the front. So I actually got her back together, but I'm having a few issues, or a issue. There you can see she's all back together. I got this front valve cover cleaned up, nice new NGK wires there. So I started it after getting everything back together, and it fired right up, but it was running really rough, and I kept having like a popping like backfire in the exhaust. I thought maybe from fuel air in the fuel lines from releasing the pressure and whatnot that it would clear up, but after 30 seconds it was still running like crap, so I shut it off. I started it back up, and it was still running like crap, and so I shut it off again, looked around, I didn't really see anything, so I went to start it again, and then it wouldn't start anymore. But I finished this thing up kind of in the dark, as it was like the sun was setting and getting dark, so that probably wasn't the best idea. While reinstalling the distributor, I was wondering if I got that on backwards. I was wondering if I had any spark plug wires backwards, even though I was sure that I put them on correctly in the correct order. So I came out the following day in the daylight, and I did find, I confirmed that my distributor, it was on correctly, and it couldn't actually, I found out I could not find the answer online, but you cannot put it on wrong, at least not on this 2003 GTS. It will only go on one way, so that was on correct, but I did find that I had one of the wires mixed up, the 3 and the 5. Again, it was dark when I was getting everything put back together, so that the 3 and the 5 looked pretty much the same in the dark, the way it's written on that distributor cap, so I had those 2 wires backwards. Oh well, that must have been the issue, so it should run now. And I'm gonna step in the car here. It's windy. I don't know if you guys can hear me as the wind hits this mic, and a lot of times you can't hear what the heck I'm saying. So I switched the wires back around to the correct order. I went to start it, and it wouldn't start, but I noticed it was turning over kind of slow. So I was like, okay, well, maybe the battery's too low. So I took the battery inside. It was at 12.1 volts, so I charged it up all the way, brought it back out, hooked it back up. It did, in fact, turn over faster with the battery being freshly charged. But it still just absolutely refused to start. I tried for several minutes, and it will not start. I hooked my scanner up to it, and I'm pulling codes for the crank sensor and the cam sensor. Which that doesn't really make any sense, because obviously there wasn't an issue with the crank and cam sensor prior to me tearing this thing down, because it ran and drove. But I did have something occur while I was getting it back together in the dark. I used too long of an extension putting the positive cable back on, and I had the negative cable on at the same time, and I was just tightening it up. Really, this is a rookie mistake, even though I'm no rookie. I've been working on cars for like 20 years. But I accidentally, with the long extension I had on it and the angle of everything, I touched the wrench against the fender while it was on the positive terminal, and the negative terminal was hooked up. So it sparked, it short-circuited to the fender. So I'm hoping it's just a fuse, or maybe there's a cable fuse that runs off the positive that could have fried that, like the safety loop, whatever the heck that thing's called. I might have blown a fuse. I'm hoping that I did not fry both the cam and crank sensor by doing that. But basically that's where I'm at now. I got to check these things, and that's why I don't have the car going yet. See, I had both on, and I had a big extension on the ratchet, and when I was tightening it down, I touched the shock tower or something. I seen a spark pretty vividly, because it was really dark outside, like I said, and I was like, oh crap, not supposed to do that. So yeah, I gotta check my fuse up in here, which actually looks good. I gotta check the, the main fuses and whatnot. And there's that safety fuse I was talking about, this wire, I believe that's it. It'll fry that before it'll fry anything else sometimes. So hopefully it's just some sort of fuse that's fried, because I arced out on the fender or the shock tower there, and hopefully it didn't fry the freaking sensors, the cam and crank over there. So at the same time, it's also got me kind of worried, and it doesn't really make sense, because why did the car start up 2 times immediately after all this, but then now it won't start at all, even though I switched the wires around and got it, the order of the spark plug wires actually correct, whereas before they weren't, and then it started up, but now it won't. You would think if the fuse blew, or I fried the cam and crank sensors, that it wouldn't have started up in the first place. So that's where I'm kind of at a loss, but I am getting the crank and cam sensor codes, so obviously process of elimination, I just got to figure out why I'm getting those codes. But again, it doesn't really make sense, because if that was the case, why did the car start up the first 2 times? So anyways, it's freezing out here. In a few days, we're supposed to have some warm days, so I won't be touching it for a couple days. We have snow blowing in here. So in a few days, hopefully I can figure it out and then get a video of this thing up running and driving around. So until then, I'll catch you on the next one.